Dear students, the wide variety of organisms present in the nature around us never fail to fascinate us. Whether it is animals or plants, we can very easily distinguish between them. And amongst the various plants, we can make out the different type of plants. But how we are able to distinguish between the plants and animals and the organisms as a whole? Obviously, due to their external appearance or due to their external characteristics. So the study of this external appearance is called morphology. So morphology is the study of external features of organisms. And obviously organisms include all the animals and plants and even the microbes too. And when we talk about the flowering plants are covered under angiosperms. Angiosperm. So in this chapter, the morphology of flowering plant, we shall be studying the external features of angiosperms. We had been studying about the plants since our class 3rd or 4th, and the plant was the body of the plant was generally divided into root system and shoot system, as we all know. Plant have root system and shoot system. Obviously we all know this is root system and shoot system. About this we all are well aware. But in this chapter we shall be discussing both these systems in greater detail, and in this video, first of all, we'll have an overview of the chapter, that what are the various topics we are going to deal in this chapter. So first of all, we shall take root system, and till now we know that a root system is that system or that part of the plant which is generally present under the ground, but it is not the reality. The root system may also be aerial or above the ground. So there are various type of roots or root system, and to which we call taproot system, adventitious root system, to root system I am simply writing RS, and another one is fibrous root system or fibrous roots, as the different type of roots you can see here in these pictures, such as taproot, adventitious roots and fibrous roots. So generally the root arise from a structure present in the embryo that is called radicle, about which we shall be studying later in this chapter. So when the root originates or root develops from the radicle of the embryo, that roots are called taproots, and the system is called taproot system, and the best example is radish. Here's the main root is derived from the radicle, and the secondary and tertiary roots originate from this main root. And when we talk about the adventitious root system, this is the system in which the roots originate from the structures other than the radicals, as is the example of banyan tree, the pillar roots of banyan tree, and stilt root of zea maize or maize plant. When we talk about these fibrous roots, so these are some special type of roots which originate from their formation starts from a radicle, but as soon as the fibrous roots starts their formation, the radicle degenerates and the primary roots formed from the radicle immediately gets divided into number of roots, and it forms, instead of having a main root or primary root like the taproot system, it doesn't have main root or primary roots, rather it has many roots originating from the base of the stem. So we call it as the fibrous roots, and generally it is included under the adventitious roots. So about the fibrous roots, we can say that it starts as a taproot, but it ends as an adventitious roots, obviously. So here in the videos to come, we shall be discussing in detail only about taproots and adventitious roots and their various modifications. Right, students? Now, we talk about the shoot system, and in our lower classes, we have studied that shoot system include, obviously, include the stem, it include leaves, obviously flowers, fruit, and seed. So in this chapter we will be studying about all these structures and their various modifications. First of all, we take the stem, a bit of introduction about the stem. Stem is generally an overground or aerial structure, as we have studied till now, but it is not true. Stem can be subaerial, that is, it is moving on the ground like creepers, and the stem can be underground, about which we shall be studying in greater detail when we will be discussing about the stem. When we talk about the leaves, so in this video, when we shall talk and we shall discuss about the leaves, first of all, there will be studying that what structure is called the leaf technically, and its various modifications as simple leaves and compound leaves, and the venation thereof. Obviously, we shall be studying the phyllotaxy. And students, this phyllotaxy is the arrangement of leaves on the stem. And the phyllotaxy can be of three types. That is, it can be your alternate, it can be opposite and like, about which we shall be studying in greater detail when we'll make the video on leaves in phyllotaxy. When we come to the flower, obviously the flower is a very beautiful structure present in the angiosperms. And here under this heading, first of all, we'll be discussing the various parts of the flower, such as calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. And generally what happens, there can be a single flower present on the floral axis. But there are many cases where more than one flowers are present on the floral axis, and to that structure we call inflorescence. So in the video to come about the flower, we shall be discussing about the inflorescence in greater detail, and obviously inflorescence are of two basic types, that is racemose type of inflorescence and cymose type of inflorescence, and there are some special type of inflorescence which we shall be discussing about a different video under this chapter. And then we'll be discussing about the various type of fruits and the technical terms or technicalities about the fruits, and at last we'll be discussing about the seeds. And seed obviously is a very important part, because it leads to the formation or germination of new plant. And obviously this seed is also the basis of further classification of angiosperms as dicots and monocots. We can write it like that, dicots and monocots. dicot and monocot. Dicotyledonous plants and monocotyledonous plants, to which these angiosperms are further categorized or divided. Along with discussing all these things, we shall be talking about the three representative families of angiosperms which are given in your NCERT textbooks. These are family, I shall write it over here, family Fabaceae, family Solanaceae, and family Liliaceae. So this is all about, we shall be discussing under this heading, morphology of flowering plant. And I am very much sure after completing this chapter, you all will be able to identify and categorize the different structures related to roots, stems, leaves, flowers, fruits and seeds, and the various modifications of roots and stems, and even that of leaves and flowers too. So let us start with our root system and various type of its modifications.